Does private residence relief apply when you're selling your home? Capital gains really only applies when you're selling a house and you haven't owned it, so you've rented it out, it's been vacant, you've been abroad. Private residence relief can apply for parts of when you've owned it. So for example, say you lived in it for the first couple of years and then you decided to move to a larger property and you've decided to rent it out. So the private residence relief will apply for the first couple of years that you lived in it, and then any remainder there will be capital gains, but that will then be worked out on the basis of a linear progression in the house value, and then we will take a portion of the time that you didn't live in the property. For example, you owned the property for 5 years and you lived in it for 2, the 2/5 of the capital gains will be allowable for private residence relief, and then the 3/5 of the remaining capital gains will be taxable. So in terms of capital gains, from April 24 onwards, you pay capital gains tax of either 18% at basic rate and then 24% for higher rate and additional rates. In order to get the full relief, you must make sure that that is your main residence and you've lived in it for the entire duration, and the fact that you haven't used your home for any business purposes. Also, that the house wasn't bought solely in the purpose of making a gain. So those are the criteria for a full relief. One handy tip is the 9 months relief. So say, for example, you did rent your property for part of it. The last 9 months before you selling the property is a relief, so that even though you didn't live in it, that you still will get your private residence relief for the last 9 months. So that's always a good tip to know. If you've got capital gains, you have to file a capital gains return within 60 days of completion. If you've got private residence relief, there is no capital gains tax return required for you to file to HMRC, so there's no declaration. It's proving that you've got gains to pay rather than proving that you've got relief. All I would say is make sure that you keep your completion statements for the purchase as well as the sales. If there's any capital expenditure that you make during the period, conversion, maybe we've done a roof conversion, something like that, to keep a record of those, because obviously that will come to reduce your capital gains in the long run.